Hey, this is Kyle Fredrickson with the Oklahoman, and I'm here today with James Rollins, New York Times best-selling author, on his book tour, currently promoting his newest novel, Bloodline. Now, the first question I gotta ask, James, now you're in the middle of a book tour right now.
Right.
Second day on a 4-day tour right now, 4 locations.
Right.
And you're enduring a heat wave. Your new novel is about immortality. Could you use a little bit of extra life right now with all the things you got going on?
More sleep. I don't know about more life. I'll take more sleep at this point. Running about, like, on average, 4 hours a night of sleep.
Okay.
This is my 14th city on this tour.
Okay, wow.
Yeah, I've got 3 more to go.
Okay, wow.
The end is in sight.
What are your first impressions of Oklahoma? You're from Missouri, so you're from this part of the country, but what have you thought so far?
Your airport is very nice. I see a lot of airports and a lot of hotels. I was just surprised by the number of oil derricks. I didn't realize it was just a big oil state until I was flying in.
Right. But yeah, let's jump right into it and then talk a little bit about your newest novel, because that's why you're in town today, to kind of promote what you've got going on. For people who aren't affiliated with a lot of your work, tell us a little bit about Bloodline.
Well, Bloodline, this adventure deals with the kidnapping of the president's daughter. She's kidnapped off a yacht in the Indian Ocean. A covert military team led by the sharp nose of a military war dog hunts for her through the jungles of Africa to find out where she was taken. Well, what they find out is the target of this abduction is not the daughter, it's her unborn child. The child she's carrying may or may not hold the genetic key to immortality.
Wow. What makes you want to write about things like immortality and scientific ventures like that?
Well, I mean, I'm always looking for 2 things when I write a novel. I'm looking for a piece of history that ends in a question mark. I'm looking for that piece of science that makes me go, gee whiz, or what if, then I try to mash them together. In this case, this story came about because I was in a grocery store aisle, and there's a line of magazines, Entertainment Weekly, and next to it is Time Magazine. The cover article for that week was 2045. The year man becomes immortal. And I kept looking at that date, 2045, sort of calculating in my head, thinking I'm going to be around in 2045. Are we really that close to breaching that barrier, to crossing into something like immortality? It seemed science fiction. It seemed too far-fetched. So I bought the magazine, read it. It sent me to about a year-long investigation into some of the claims that were in that magazine, into some research going on in labs around the world, and what I uncovered was some very startling things going on in the science called the life extension sciences, trying to extend human life. There are some amazing breakthroughs that are just on the horizon, just cresting right now, and some of it's amazing. Some of the things going on in labs are a little on the shadowy side, and this book sort of explores both sides of that spectrum. At the end of my book, I sort of lay out what's true and what's not. I separate truth from fiction. I even leave some video links so you can actually see some of the things we're talking about in this novel. Because when I bring up the subject of immortality, when I broached the subject with my editor, she rolled her eyes. She's like, "Really, immortality? Are you jumping the shark, Jim?" And I thought, so I sent her some of the links, and one of the things she's commented back was, I wish you had never sent me that one link because it's pretty gruesome. But yeah, write that novel, because there's some things that people just aren't aware of that's going on in that whole field.
Right. Now, you originally got your education to be a veterinarian, is that right?
Yep.
Now, it's a pretty big leap.
I'm still a vet.
Right, you're still a vet.
Don't call me a former vet. That's a point of contention with me.
Absolutely.
I can still neuter a cat in under 30 seconds, so I think I can keep my veterinary degree.
Absolutely. Does that experience help you when you write stories that talk about science and delve into that?
I think it does. It gives me a little baseline in which to explore. But I mean, a lot of my science is not biological or medicine related. The current book I'm working with right now deals with high particle physics and dark matter and dark energy. So the base is there, but oftentimes it will branch out. And it's amazing when I approach different scientists in different fields, even government scientists, how open they are. If I say, I'm an author, can you help me out with this aspect of this story? And sometimes I'm surprised how open they are. It's like, I'm not sure you should be telling me that. That sounds top secret. Mm-hmm. So it's even though I've got a background in medicine and science, I also lean on the experts.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And what can readers expect that's maybe a little bit different about this novel, maybe compared to some other works you've done? And what are you most proud of now that you have this finished work and that you're promoting it across the country?
Well, what's probably the biggest difference in this book compared to the other novels is I introduce a new teammate to the team. It's that war dog I described a moment ago. I did a USO tour to Iraq and Kuwait about a year and a half ago. It was a group of us authors. We went out there. It was Operation Thriller was the name of this USO tour. And we went out there to visit men and women out in the field, both in Kuwait and Iraq. it was great meeting the men and the women in the field, but me being a veterinarian, of course, I gravitated to seeing some of the dogs working out, the military working dogs. And so I went and interviewed a few of the handlers, trying to get an idea of, how were they utilizing these dogs in the battlefield environment? And also, what was that relationship like? Did they just treat their dogs as military hardware? And I found out that's actually far from the truth. There's a very deep bond that establishes between the military war dog and his handler. So deep, in fact, that they even have a phrase for that bonding. The phrase is, it runs down the lead. So that over time, the emotions will run up and down that leash between the two of them, binding them together. Because they eat, sleep together, they eat together, they train together, they're around each other all the time. One of the soldiers even said that he thinks that his dog understands him better than his own wife does. So it was that bond I wanted to try to capture in this book, and I even wrote some scenes from Kane, the military working dog's perspective. I want to take my readers and try to put them in the shoes of that dog, not to experience the life. Disney has usually humanizes their animal subjects, and I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to make a four-legged soldier. I wanted to actually make it a dog. How would the dog function in that environment? Again, going back to my veterinary background, how does a dog perceive the world? How do they, what's the emotional world of that dog like in that type of environment? Try to capture that.
Right, absolutely. And are there any other projects that you're currently working on now, or when this book tour is over?
I've got a book coming out this January. It's already complete, called The Blood Gospel. Then I've got another book coming out, or the book I'm currently finishing right now will be the next Sigma novel out for next summer.
All right. Well, thank you for stopping by. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.